Hello. Yes, I am all settled in. It was a crazy day of travel. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to go through the day because it's borderline miraculous that we were able to take off and that we didn't crash given the winds in the Bay Area. But I made it, and I made it in time for the 49ers arrival. Video of that. That's already up on the channel, by the way, if you want to see the 49ers plane pulling into the Las Vegas airport and the police escort and all that good stuff. You can check it out. It's on the channel. But why don't we do a live show here from Las Vegas? We got the setup. I hope you like it. I hope it's nice and crisp. If it's not, then by tomorrow I'll be able to get an Ethernet cord so we can have some faster internet in here. But I'm not getting any warnings right now. So I think that we can say that we're locked, loaded, ready to go here from Las Vegas. It's going to be 8 nights for me in town. That's a long time to be in Vegas. They say that Vegas has a 48-hour expiration date. I generally subscribe to that. Actually, in the past, I've been a 36-hour guy. There have been bachelor parties in Las Vegas that I have attended that I show up late to. I come on Saturday morning and then I'll leave on Sunday evening because Friday night they all go out to the club. Saturday they do the pool party. I'm bigger into the pool party than the club, and I hate doing the back-to-back. Like the Friday night going out, then the Saturday pool party, especially if you do the pool party big. It's a tough back-to-back. So you try to get in on Saturday morning, so it's more of a 36-hour thing instead of a 48-hour thing. I have no such luxury this time. It's going to be 8 nights in Las Vegas because it's the Super Bowl. Obviously, the first time here, it's a huge deal. The 49ers rolled in. We can take a look at video of the 49ers rolling in. Mike just sent me some to include in the show, courtesy of the 49ers themselves. So let's get that downloaded here. And let's get that up onto the screen. WhatsApp changed their interface recently because they have a new desktop app. So I'm still getting used to using it, but I think I have it here. We're going to go video file, downloads, boom, here we go. 49ers on the tarmac. There they come. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, he looked locked in. Deebo Samuel wearing black. Maybe he's dressed up for another opponent's funeral. Kyle Shanahan was first off the plane. We'll replay this one more time. The 49ers were slightly delayed coming out of San Jose. I have yet to talk to somebody on that flight. I'm sure I will here over the next couple days, maybe tonight. But I'll tell you what, if their flight was anything like mine, whew, I thought it was over. I did think it was over. I didn't think that I was going to live through that flight. And you know me, I fly a lot. So I've been through turbulence. I've, been in sketchy situations. I've had to make an emergency landing in Shannon, Ireland, which was the town or the airport that originated the Irish coffee for the Buena Vista Cafe in San Francisco. Long story, which I'll get to. But I've had to make an emergency landing in Ireland, flying from Montreal, Canada, across the Atlantic because we were leaking fuel over the Atlantic Ocean. And then we had to make this emergency landing in Ireland. And then I had an Irish coffee after we landed at 7 a.m. I've done all that. But I wasn't that afraid at the emergency landing, even though there were fire trucks on the runway when we landed. Today, getting on that runway at SFO and whatever it was, the cyclone, whatever they're calling it, it was so windy. We pull out onto the runway and the plane starts shaking. The wings start going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm like, there's no way that this pilot is going to try this. There is absolutely no way that he's going to hit the accelerator on this runway right now with this kind of wind. And of course, as I think that, the very next thing that happens, you just hear the jet engines roaring to life. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. This is it. I'm going to die on the way to the Super Bowl. That's what I was thinking. And I, just fastened my seatbelt, and there we went down the runway in SFO. And I have never felt less comfortable in a plane in my life. This thing was barreling down the runway. I thought our wings were going to touch the ground and it was going to cause a crash. Honestly, I was that afraid as this thing was going down the runway. And we lifted off, and for the first 10 minutes of that flight, the ups and the downs and the loss of elevation, I mean, they're gonna have to check that plane out before it flies again. That's how much turbulence it went through. We took a little detour over the Sierra Nevada, and then we came down here into Vegas. Normally, landings in Vegas are extraordinarily bumpy, right? Today, the landing in Vegas felt like a piece of cake compared to getting out of San Francisco. And, I made a little Twitter thread about it because my goal was to show up in time for the 49ers plane arrival. And you'll see if I made it or not. But yeah, anyway, here's the Twitter thread. First off, this right here was my inbound plane. It was coming from Phoenix and it started doing this circling stuff. I'm like, oh God, we're going to be delayed for a while. Then, like, it made this kind of turn, like a really sharp turn. I don't know if this was just a glitch in the tracker or whatever, but I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to land. Maybe they finally got clearance to land. I was wrong. This thing, even after that point, kept on doing this. It went out over the Pacific Ocean and was circling around. It got to the point where I was seriously ready to interview the passengers of this plane when they finally got to SFO as they came off the plane to ask them how their motion sickness was. Because I can't even imagine. This plane, it took about 4 hours for it to get from Phoenix to the Bay Area because it kept on circling around. First Monterey, Carmel, Big Sur actually was circling around Big Sur. Then it was circling around the ocean up here. Then like after, an hour plus of circling around, they finally made an attempt at SFO. You'll see here, they come over San Francisco and they abort it. They're like, nope, we can't do it. Our wind, we're going to crash if we land. That's how bad this weather was. And there was videos online of planes trying to land at SFO. It looked ugly. So after all of that, these guys decided that they said, screw it. We're going to land in Oakland. Okay. So they diverted their way to Oakland, and that's my inbound plane, right? That's the plane that was supposed to take me to Las Vegas, and instead they land in Oakland. And then they announce, okay, well, they've landed in Oakland. Now we're gonna figure out a way how to get this plane to San Francisco. So I said, okay, are they going to put it on a barge and ship it across the bay? Is it going to drive? Is it going to get on 880 and then on the Bay Bridge? And probably not, because the toll plaza, I don't think the plane would fit. So I guess they have to fly from Oakland to San Francisco. And that reminded me of Full House. There's a scene in Full House where the girls, they get on the plane and they're at SFO, because obviously Full House based in San Francisco. And I don't know how they get on the plane. It's an iconic scene though. And they say, hey, don't worry, it's a short flight. We're only flying to Oakland. Obviously, I don't think it happens very often to see a flight from San Francisco to Oakland or vice versa. Little do they know that it's actually Auckland, New Zealand. They misheard, and then they start screaming and yelling and whatever. Funny enough, one of my buddies, Jason, shout out to him. He might be watching. He's in Auckland, New Zealand right now. So we're joking about that Full House scene. Anyway, so this plane had to make it from Oakland to San Francisco. So it would be able to take me to Las Vegas to beat the 49ers. And at this point, I'm running out of time. It keeps on getting delayed even out of Oakland, because you could see how hard it was to land at SFO when you look at something like this. I mean, all these failed tries to land at SFO. So I go to the desk and I tell them, hey, I've got to get to Las Vegas for this event. Can you help me out? Because the next flight to Vegas on United was scheduled to go ahead of my flight, even though my flight was scheduled earlier in the morning. So they're like, okay, we can put you on standby, but you're number 6 on the list, and there are only 5 seats open on this plane. Quest for 6, little joke there. It turns out that it took the plane that landed at Oakland exactly 49 minutes to fly to San Francisco, gate to gate. There's another sign, 49ers, 49 minutes. But I got put on standby, and somebody was a no-show for the earlier plane. So I got on the earlier plane. The problem is that my bag was still on the plane that went later. So I flew to Vegas, and I made it with my bag on a different plane than the one that I flew on. And that was the flight where I thought that it was done. I mean, it was not good. By the way, like, cool thing, while I was at SFO, my first ever article on the New York Times, like that was actually printed in the New York Times, came out. It's been the greatest show on turf. This is my 49ers Rams greatest show on turf article. So because I had extra time at SFO, I was able to because I had extra time at SFO, I was able to go to the little news store, and two of them didn't have the New York Times, but one of them did. Then I made it on the plane. Obviously, they gave me the seat on standby, so I was going to make it. Here's how planes fly from San Francisco to Oakland. They make that loop that took exactly 49 minutes. Here's us taxiing out the takeoff. This was actually before we were on the runway, before I thought it was all over. And then, I just tweeting my article. This is the whole thread. Um, then I was off to Vegas. We made a little bit of a detour, not too big of one, and it was happily ever after. Made it to Las Vegas, as you could tell there from the slot machine at the airport. So, it was an absolute adventure. The 49ers came after me, and the 49ers made it about an hour after. There they are. I hope that their flight wasn't as wasn't as bumpy as mine was. They came out of San Jose, but I was able to be there for the plane arrival on the tarmac in Vegas. So that's what happened. Did a lot to get here. Now we can firmly say hello from Las Vegas. We've got a little bit of a studio setup right now. And that was by the way, this video right here, just so I give proper credit, because we do like to give proper credit. This is from Las Vegas's Instagram, like the city's Instagram. The Mike sent it over to me. So I'm sure that they want this video out there. They're trying to promote their city. They even had the Las Vegas sign. There's a bunch of guys dressed like Elvis. I guess we call them Elvi, multiple Elvises. In the hangar. They didn't do it the same way that they did Miami last year. The Miami 4 years ago, it's like the Olympics. Every 4 years, the 49ers and the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl. In Miami, they had the planes actually roll into the hangar before the teams got out. Here, they were outside of the hangar, and they had the little media area working in the hangar. Anyway, back to the emergency landing story. This is one that ties into San Francisco. I'm flying from Montreal to Prague. It was supposed to be to Prague, the Czech Republic. And all of a sudden, they're like, hey, guys, we're going to have to make an early landing. They didn't tell us why. And okay, sure enough, we glide down and we land, and there's fire trucks waiting for us on tarmac. It was because our plane was leaking oil over the Atlantic Ocean. And if you look at a map, the very first airport after thousands of miles of ocean is Shannon, Ireland. It's on the west side of Ireland. It's not on the Dublin side. It's on the west side of Ireland. So it is a little bit more remote. And it's like 7 a.m. and we land, and they're like, hey, we're all the way on the west side of Ireland. The mechanic is in London. The mechanics are going to fly from London. So we can't continue to your destination, to Prague, until the next day. So I said, okay, where the hell am I? And I start taking a look at where I am. Turns out that I was near the cliffs of Moher, the big cliffs. So I rented the car and I drove on the wrong side of the car. The wheel was on the right, to the cliffs of Moher. Got some epic pictures, video. It's too bad. This is before I was covering the 49ers. I would have done a live from the cliffs of Moher. Would have been awesome. But also the next day before I flew out, I got to go get an Irish coffee from the airport. Now, this is the Irish coffee story. Stan Delaplane was a San Francisco Chronicle travel writer who had a story that is very familiar to mine. His plane broke down and had to make an emergency landing in Shannon, Ireland. Exactly what happened to me. And he befriended a bartender at the same airport back in the 50s. And he was like, hey, I needed you to make me a drink that could give me some caffeine, but at the same time can also, get me a little hammered, right? Because it's Ireland. I want some Irish whiskey. And the bartender made him something, and Stan Delaplane really liked it. And he said, what is this? And the bartender said, I don't know, just call it an Irish coffee. So this San Francisco Chronicle travel writer exchanged contact info with the bartender, flew back to San Francisco, and then invited the bartender out to San Francisco so they could start an establishment together that served this drink, the Irish coffee. That establishment is still there today. It's called the Buena Vista Cafe. It's over on Hyde Street, right at the base of the cable car, right by where I swim, right by the Dolphin Club. Legendary place. Big 49ers guys. I actually swung by right before the NFC Championship game a week ago. And you could get the original and the best Irish coffees in the world at the Buena Vista Cafe. Now, another good one is at La Rocca's Corner, but San Francisco is now the Irish coffee town because of the Buena Vista, because of a place like La Rocca's Corner, which is going to be an awesome place to watch the Super Bowl. I'd actually recommend La Rocca's Corner to watch the Super Bowl if you're in the city. But last Super Bowl, the Buena Vista, which makes these Irish coffees, they actually had a pop-up Buena Vista on South Beach in Miami. I don't know if they're going to be doing the same thing here in Las Vegas, set up a Buena Vista cafe somewhere in Las Vegas for Irish coffees. I'll look into it because if they do, that's definitely a place those of you who come into Miami should check out. I'll probably even do a show from there because that's my travel near-death experience, leaking fuel over the Atlantic Ocean. That was, obviously harrowing, especially after you hear why we had to land. But I don't think that it was nearly as scary as today. I mean, we're literally shaking on the runway today at SFO. Like, I thought the wings were going to clip the ground as we were taking off, but didn't end up happening. So that is what happened today. Now that the room is here, I could go to the first 49ers Chiefs preview here from Las Vegas. There's the team getting off the plane. There's your first 49ers Chiefs preview. Why don't you take a look at that? There's Nick Bosa 4 years ago chasing Patrick Mahomes. So this is out now on The Athletic. I invite you to go check it out. Had some fun writing it, but there's a lot of interesting stuff. The role reversal is what I tried to highlight in this game. The Chiefs have the number 24 explosive pass rate in football this year. Number 24. And this is a team that used to be at the top of the league in explosive pass rate. They're number 24. The 49ers are obviously number 1. I showed you the greatest show on turf comparison. By the way, Super Bowl host committee water here from Las Vegas. Maybe if I hold it here, we won't blur out. Yeah, Super Bowl host committee water. I need some right now. Oh, that's good. Whew. So let's get some of this stuff up. Let's take a look at some graphics. Because to me, the role reversal between these two teams has truly been stunning. Almost got him up. Maybe we get the Chiefs DVOA profile as well. Hell, while we're at it, let's get the Niners DVOA profile up there too. So you can see all of the advanced stats to get you ready for this football game. This is up on my Twitter, so go ahead and subscribe to The Athletic. Check it out. We've got good stuff. But pick up a copy of today's New York Times too, if you would like to see my article on the greatest show on turf comparisons to the 49ers. Okay, here we go. So first off, there's this. So this is, these are some of the graphics from my piece. X-axis is going to be offensive efficiency. This is from 2019, by the way. This is the time that they played last. Y-axis is defensive efficiency. So ideally, you want to be in the very upper right. Nobody was quite up there in 2019. The 49ers were on their way. They had a good offense, a solid defense. Neither was the best in the league. Kansas City was out here with Baltimore. They had an elite offense, but a very average defense, right? So they're in the same tier as the 49ers in 2019. Well, okay, look at where they were at that year, and now look to see where the teams are 4 years later. I just moved it to 4 years later. Look at the 49ers. They're where the Chiefs were. Elite offense, top of the league. Chiefs were number 2 back then, but the 49ers are outliers. But the defense has been relatively mediocre, maybe a little bit better than Kansas City's 4 years ago, but just a bit above the line. Meanwhile, Kansas City is kind of in this balanced territory, but they're nowhere near as explosive as last time. So the offense isn't way up here. The offense is like in the top 8. The defense is in the top 7. It's a role reversal. It's an absolute role reversal. And the 49ers would love a role reversal when it comes to the final score as well. Here's Kansas City's profile. You could see blue is good, red is bad. See the glaring weakness? It's right here. It's run defense. Number 27 in the league. Run offense, not great either, but I think that that's a danger to the 49ers because the 49ers' weakest component is their, other than their special teams, their run defense. So you got to watch out for special teams and run defense if you're the San Francisco 49ers. So that's your cursory outlook. I just think that it's so important to note that there has been a definite role reversal between these two football teams over the course of 4 years. Brock Purdy has helmed such an explosive offense, but the the two variables that have shifted, one gained, one subtracted. 49ers have gained Christian McCaffrey. The Chiefs have lost Tyreek Hill. I think it's as simple as that when you look at explosiveness of the offense and weaponry downfield. Because Mahomes is Mahomes, great quarterback. Purdy is Purdy, great quarterback. But you look to see what they're working with, and Purdy's got Christian McCaffrey, and Mahomes doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. So they're both very efficient, but the 49ers have been able to get the extra explosiveness that comes with Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have Brandon Ayuk last time. That was their second draft pick after that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. The first one was Javon Kinlaw, who's probably going to play a big role in this game as well. He's been playing well, by the way. Then it was Brandon Ayuk, who is now an all-pro wide receiver. Somehow wasn't a Pro Bowler, but who cares about that? I just watched a bunch of boring flag football today in the airport. But he's an all-pro, Brandon Ayuk is, and he's been a big addition to this 49ers offense. I think 4 years later, you still have Kittle and Kelsey playing really good ball. George Kittle, Travis Kelsey on the other side. George Kittle might be playing even better ball than he was back then. I mean, he was more of a featured piece of the 49ers offense in 18 and 19 because they didn't have all these supplementary weapons. Now, though, his game is so hardened now. And, he was a wide-eyed third-year tight end in 2019. He's a multi-year vet now. He's gotten paid. I still remember in 2019, George's dad, Bruce, they would go to these Fox TV events because Tony Gonzalez was there, and they got to meet some of the great tight ends. And Bruce was just taking notes, and it was their first time at something this big like the Super Bowl. And I sat down with them, and we talked, and they were just taking it all in. And George was at that time really morphing into a superstar. There's that whole wrestling. I can't say persona because that's just who George is as a person, but the whole wrestling demeanor that he was putting on. And the 2019 season is when he turned into George Kittle. 2018, he put up record numbers, but it was the Super Bowl run in 2019 that really molded George Kittle into the superstar wrestling-like personality that we know today. And since then, the 49ers have added other pieces. Since then, they've added Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy's the quarterback now, and this team has evolved. I mean, they were the young guns when they were here in 2019 at this stage. And now they are weathered. They've suffered through some gut-wrenching defeats, including that Super Bowl. The 2020 season was gut-wrenching just because it was 2020 and they went 6-10 and got exiled to Arizona. Kyle Shanahan's called that like a fancy jail when they had to sit the hotel in Arizona. And then, I mean, just brutal NFC Championship game losses in 2021, blown lead, fourth quarter, and 2022. Brock Purdy gets hurt, first drive against Philadelphia. So it's been a hell of a road back. And the 49ers, they're weathered now. They're battle-tested now. And guess what? So are the Chiefs. The Chiefs won that Super Bowl in the 2019 season. They came back and they suffered a bad loss to Tom Brady's team the next year. And that was, I mean, the Tampa Bay defense just took the Chiefs to task. They had injuries along the offensive line, and Mahomes had no chance, which just goes to show you every single quarterback needs a supporting cast. One of the most impressive things that Brock Purdy has done this season is deliver number one efficiency. I mean, he's elite, top of the top, number one in the whole league, behind an offensive line that it hasn't been very good in pass protection. Because when we saw Patrick Mahomes work behind a struggling Chiefs offensive line in that Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it got ugly. They scored 9 points. That was in 2020. So then the Chiefs, then they lost in the AFC Championship game in 2021 to the Bengals, right? The Bengals then went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Rams. 2022 saw the Chiefs make their return to the Super Bowl. They got past the Bengals that time, and then they beat the Eagles. So the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls since 2019. they have seen a gut-wrenching AFC Championship game loss and a gut-wrenching Super Bowl loss. So I think they're weathered too. It's not like it's all been roses for the Chiefs. There's been some tough times in there as well. They've just gotten through to that Super Bowl win, unlike the San Francisco 49ers. But the 49ers are trying to get to that level. We've got video of Mike. Can I use the audio on this video? Is it clean? I'm just checking with Mike. We got video of the 49ers arriving at their hotel in Las Vegas. I'm going to ask Mike if we could use the audio on it. And if we can, then boom, we're going to put it up on the screen. All right, we can use the audio. Good. All right, just give me a second right now. Video of the 49ers arriving at the hotel in Las Vegas. Here we go. How about that? That video credit, the name underneath me, Mike said Joe Vigil. Thank you. He posted that on social media. So we go ahead, use it, give him some credit out there, and go back to our 49ers Chiefs preview. That's 7 busloads of players that went straight from the airport, big time police escort, made it all the way to the team hotel, which is 16, 17 miles away from the strip. For me, I have to get my credential tomorrow. And then I'm just gonna start doing some Radio Row stuff. So you'll probably catch me on TV, on the radio this week. Just kicked my microphone. You're probably going to catch me a few times, hopefully this week on some shows, and I'll be writing some big articles and be buckling down for work here in Las Vegas. The good news is that I've made it safely. I didn't think that was going to happen during the adventure coming here from SFO, but it's now time to buckle down and work. I've got to get some food tonight. It's already 9:00 here. I think it's Pacific time in Vegas as well. So probably not going to venture all too far. I have a ton of blazers and everything for all that I'm going to do here today. And they only had like 3 hangers up in the closet. So maybe tomorrow I go get some clothes hangers because it's 8 nights. It is a marathon. I opened this up talking about Vegas being something that I'm only used to doing for 36 hours. Where we're going to be doing it for a little bit longer today. Anyway, 49ers Q&A. Any questions about my flight, the arrival? Let's go. I'm ready for questions. I'll try to put the most relevant ones up there. Yeah, maybe McAfee in person this week. That would be really cool. Nah, I am not a Vegas buffet kind of person. Not my cup of tea, the Vegas buffet. That is the height of gluttony. It's a height of American gluttony. I think I'll stay away from the buffet. Oh, good question here. I did get my luggage safely. It went on a separate plane, but I was able to scoop it up at the airport. Yes, I did get my luggage safely. It's all here. This blazer, you could tell I changed blazers. Haven't changed shirts yet, but I changed blazers for the show. This blazer was in my luggage, right? So all the equipment right here, the mic, that was all in the luggage. So it was good. If somebody's asking how the flight was, you guys can tell him. I thought I was going to die. I mean, the plane was shaking on the damn runway in San Francisco. Yep, this is a good one. Dave's flight resembled our playoff run. Slow start, almost can't get going, but once you get going, you get there. I joked around that Dre Greenlaw was the pilot of the 49ers flight. Here's the thing. Dre Greenlaw was probably the pilot of my flight. Or here, this is the flight that Dre Greenlaw was the pilot of. Let's get it. Trying to open this. This one right here. This is like the 49ers playoff run. This is like Dre Greenlaw's interception return attempts. At one, oh, I mean, we have let's get to this one right here. This is like Dre Greenlaw's interception attempts. At this point, you're just like, get down, get to the runway, get down. But no, he just keeps on running. Thinks about getting down at SFO, but then decides to keep on and then diverts to Oakland. I mean, it was crazy. So I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, are you seriously going to have us fly? And I wanted to go because I needed to get to Vegas, but it's like, are you seriously going to have us fly in these conditions where you can't even land, where you have to do 18 to 35 loops around the airport? And the answer was yes. And I thought that I was going to die, but it was okay. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you. Do I think the 49ers should take the opening kick or defer? That's a good question. The way that these games have gone, if I'm the 49ers, I really wouldn't mind getting the ball first and just punching the Chiefs in the mouth if you can. They've started obviously slowly offensively and defensively. I was talking to somebody about this today. I think that the 49ers interior line is not blocking well enough right now to set up without help to set up a good, stable pass offense. And I think that's caused some of these slow starts. Brock Purdy was getting the defensive line pushed into his lap throughout the first half of the game against the Detroit Lions. The 49ers ultimately got going in the second half by moving to some tempo. When they moved to tempo, you saw the Detroit Lions not be able to get off the same kind of pass rush. So I think Kansas City is going to be ready for that. Another way to neutralize the pass rush is to move Purdy off of his spot a little bit, right? Roll him out, step up. Kyle Shanahan doesn't like to do that at the start of games because he wants the offense to get into its on-schedule rhythm, which is timing-based, which is not going to be reliant on Purdy stepping up, stepping back, doing all that kind of stuff. But he might have to if he wants this rhythm to click earlier offensively, because it's 2 games now where the 49ers have had some trouble. I get it. Against Green Bay, the football was wet. Took Purdy a while to get into the game. But against the Lions, it wasn't. It was warm, and I really think that the pass protection issues at the interior line were giving the 49ers fits. You don't want to fall behind Mahomes the way that you fell behind the Detroit Lions. I think it's as simple as that. Yes, I am. Shout out to Visalia. Looks like the 49ers almost flew over Visalia today. They flew a little bit north of Fresno, and then they made that loop and came down. So pretty cool little route from the 49ers. Vegas is on the way, obviously. I do anticipate the 49ers will do some doubling of Travis Kelce, yes. And I do think that the Chiefs don't have great receivers. That's not a secret. Kelsey's their leading target. And I think if you shut down Travis Kelce, you could shut down this pass offense. Now, the thing is, you also have to shut down the run. That's the tough part, given the 49ers team build up in this matchup. Yes, we've talked about the Chase Young clip, and the 49ers have talked about it too. It's not just Chase Young. There were a handful of players who weren't given full effort. It was a handful of plays, maybe 3 in the game. It's non-negotiable. That's what John Lynch said. The 49ers can't have that happen again. I get it. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's just I said it at the time. The run defense was terrible in the first half. Said it when I saw the clip. They've talked about it, and I'm sure Chase Young will be asked about it during media this week. And I'm sure that the 49ers have a plan of attack. Well, without a deal with the media there, but they better have a plan of attack on the field at Allegiant Stadium in a week. Guess what? In 1 week, we will know the winner of the Super Bowl. It's going to be 9:07 p.m. The game starts here at 3:30 p.m. We'll know what's up a week from now at Allegiant Stadium here in Vegas. All right, guys. I think 35-minute show is just about right. It was a hell of a journey for me today. I got to go get some food, though. So I'm going to head downstairs. I'm going to get some food. Everybody, thank you for joining. This is the start of the week. Hopefully you like the setup. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about what you want to change, the 17 jersey made it, by the way. See what ends up happening with that. Maybe I flip it around from this room at some point this week. All right, everybody take care. I'm going to go find some food here in Las Vegas.